All right, just getting everybody on board here. We should be getting Twitch here in just a little bit. So I want to confirm everybody's online, and then we'll go see what's happening out there. It is a beautiful evening. It's a little bit on the warm side in Chattanooga and the News 12 viewing area. We're not seeing a lot of problems for right now. Again, we have the potential of seeing a very hot weekend coming up. There's no question about that. But there is also the possibility of seeing some rain next week. Some, not that much, but it is going to be possible that we are going to see some very steamy conditions. I would say it's going to be a good possibility that we see heat index numbers next week, triple digits, and maybe even beyond that. So beyond anything into like maybe heat advisory territory is what I should say. We're going to be seeing some not good conditions for working or exercising outdoors. We'll talk more about that coming up here in just a little bit. Looks like everybody is on board for tonight, and we are live on our News 12 YouTube page. Thanks to everybody for signing up in the course of the last several days and weeks. Nice to have all the new followers on Twitch. If you got questions, go ahead and drop those into the comments section over on the right-hand side or wherever you have it parked on your page, and we'll be glad to answer your question as much as we can. The full moon, 100% illuminated, the strawberry moon rising above downtown, and the cloud layer out there. I'm hoping to get a good time lapse out of this one. We'll hopefully bring that to you coming up here in just a little while. So we'll see what happens there. And some beautiful sunset pictures back to the west. We'll talk more about that in just a little while. If you've never joined us before, this is Weather Overtime. It is Friday, the 21st of June, keeping you updated on what's going on with the forecast. Now 3 weeks into hurricane season, and we've got a couple of systems to talk about. We'll do that in just a little bit. Join us again every weeknight at about 9:45 Eastern Time, and we'll talk more about weather as we keep you updated as to what might be happening out there in the News 12 viewing area. We're coming to you from the southeast United States. For those of you who might be tuning in from farther afield than the U.S., we're covering southeast Tennessee, northeast Alabama, northwest Georgia, and the western county of North Carolina, Cherokee County. That's our viewing area, so that is where we mainly head and keep an eye on. You can see more about our 7-day forecast at the lower portion of your lower left of the screen. Our website at the bottom portion of the screen, wdef.com/weather, if you'd like to tune in and see our forecast graphics and everything else. And again, if you've got questions, go ahead and add them to the list in the comment or chat function, and we'll be glad to find out more for you. And if we can't find the answer at some point in time tonight, we'll get it to you as soon as we possibly can somewhere else. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what's going on with the conditions out there from today. The Almanac page, official high temperature, 7 degrees above normal, 4 degrees below a record high that hasn't been broken since 1953 at the century mark. 71 the low, that very close to where we should be for this time of the year, and way above where our record low has been, 54 degrees set back in 1944. We are behind for the month by now an inch, almost 2 inches for the month. We've only picked up just shy of an inch for the last 3 weeks, and that is a lot of rain to be spread over that amount of time. So there's not that much out there. So on average, we're very much on the dry side. And then for the year, we're about 2¼ inches behind. We could definitely and pretty desperately use some rainfall. It's a good possibility that we'll be seeing some wildfire risk increasing into the course of the next couple of days. Please don't forget to check out especially emergency managers and those in healthcare and anybody in education who needs to keep track of what's going on with heat. We've got summer school going on. We've got vacation Bible school. We've got all sorts of stuff happening. And if you want to keep up to date with what's going on with heat risk on heat maps, excuse me, a lot of folks can say, oh, it's just hot weather. We've dealt with it before. Well, dealing with it properly is what we need to think about. And if you'd like to know more about how to plan ahead for what could be a heat wave and how dangerous it could be, heat is a killer just like severe weather. And a lot of people, it is an underrated killer because a lot of people don't think there's a problem. You can mow the entire lawn in one setting, taking an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. Oh, I don't need to take a break. That would make me look weak. forget that. Take breaks. Keep an eye on those exercising around you. At temperatures like this, it is not good to be messing around with anything involving the heat, and we're going to be seeing more of this next week. Probably not the extreme possibility, but again, very much on the hotter side. CDC from the NOAA and the Centers for Disease Control, cdc.gov/heat, if you'd like to see more about what's going on out there. And we will need to keep an eye on what's happening with the weather in the course of the next several days out there. 84 at the Chattanooga airport, just over to the right-hand side of this particular screen. So if you are out and about tonight on 153 and 64, everything moving along pretty well. Not seeing any problems here. A lot of backups earlier tonight, so not seeing anything going on at 153-64 interchange on the Plainview outdoor advertising camera. North flank of Lookout Mountain and seeing Ruby Falls and the traffic on I-24 moving on through, but otherwise good visibility here. Traffic was having some issues earlier at 2475, and we're also seeing the lights still out. Not too sure what the situation is here, but it looks like some of the street lights are out. Not sure if that's a power problem or because there's maintenance, construction going on, but that could be a bit of a situation there. Chattanooga Zoo camera catching the last lights of the daylight hours out there, and now getting pretty dark. But this was just around and after the longest day of the year. The shortest night of the year was last night. Let me just check and see here real quick. I'm just curious whether or not we're going to be just the longest day of the year, 14 hours and 31 minutes. So we just have now passed that, and from here on out we start losing daylight as we head toward the winter solstice, half a year away. But we've got a long time before that actually happens, so we'll got a lot to talk about between here and there. Chattanooga Theater Center camera from the area downtown at the Speedy's Total Car Care camera on the North Shore. Tennessee River, the footbridge downtown, back behind there to the rear and left. Again, not showing too much of any problems there. A few folks out and about. The police taking a cruise down around the roundabout at Lookout Park. Coolidge Park, around the area just north of Lookout Stadium, I should say. Quiet for right now. Temperatures across much of the area continuing to be on the warm side. We've got numbers in the 80s and 70s, especially back toward the foothills of the Appalachians. Scottsboro, again, I would get someone to check your airport sensor, because obviously somebody is either having problems or somebody's ripped it off and put it in the fridge, or the freezer for that matter. So anybody in Scottsboro might want to check and see what's going on with your airport thermometer just in case. Heat domes solidly in place and going to see the potential of more heat over the course of the next several days. So we don't have any good news here where it comes to anything changing anytime soon for the better where our temperatures are concerned. The big picture, again, showing little, if anything, really happening. We've got some weak winds coming out of the east-northeast. That's all part of that area of high pressure back toward the Atlantic. Now, we also have the area close to the Carolinas. Our latest tropical system sitting just offshore tonight, just barely making its way toward Georgia and Florida. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. The general flow at this time is pushing moisture up onshore to interact with a fairly vigorous system. Some tornadic weather showing up into Nebraska and around Minneapolis, back to the west of there and parts of Minnesota. And right along this front, a lot of warm air being pushed up toward the western Great Lakes. So good possibility of strong weather from the front range of the Rockies all the way back into the southern Great Lakes as this system tries to make its way south, but with high pressure pushing back against it. Kind of iffy to see if that's going to arrive in one piece by the time we get into and around Sunday or so. So this is the way the weekend is going to work out. The pattern has not changed. Warm in the morning, low temperatures in the upper 60s to low 70s. Hot in the afternoon as we go toward the afternoon of Saturday, at least mid-90s, probably where there's more sunshine. Could be even hotter than that, possibly aiming for some triple-digit temperatures in some of the area. Sunday morning, warm, low temperatures around Atlanta, barely out of the 80s. And then as we get into Sunday afternoon, more heat and more humidity sticking around. There's our front, but again, it's fighting back against high pressure, and that moisture flow might give us by Sunday night into Monday the potential of showers and maybe some thunderstorms coming up. And that will give us, again, unfortunately, what probably is going to happen more than anything else. What we need is a good widespread amount of showers and thunderstorms, coupled with a nice burst of Canadian air to knock our temperatures down. I don't see that happening. This is a very weak front. Yes, it'll have enough to trigger off some showers and thunderstorms, but more than likely what those salt and pepper scattered areas of thunderstorms will do is just dump more humidity into the local atmosphere, and that is not going to help anybody stay cool anytime soon. So what we've got is, again, the pattern continuing right on into early next week. Low temperatures Tuesday morning pushing 80 degrees in Alabama and northern Georgia, and then Tuesday afternoon could be the hottest of the hot, with numbers back around the triple digits, and that's just the air temperatures. We need to concentrate on what's going on with heat index numbers as well, and those could be reaching close to heat advisory territory, which is 105 plus. And that's something we could see in some of the area. Now, we don't have any heat advisories for right now. They're all concentrated under the center of that heat dome, and of course back across the desert southwest, the San Joaquin Valley, parts of the area of the Great Basin around Salt Lake City, and down into the desert southwest. That's the hottest of the hot, but we're not seeing anything again for us just yet. And according to the Climate Prediction Center, not much is going to be changing. The worst of the worst from the high plains down to the Gulf Coast, we're not going to be quite as hot as out here, but we will be, again, a good possibility of seeing temperatures very much on the above normal side of things. And as an added bonus, over the next 30 days, according to the Climate Prediction Center, that is where we are going to stay, with the worst of that heat dome sticking around parts of the New England area and out west into the Front Range, the main part of the Colorado and Wyoming Rockies, and the high plains around Kansas and Nebraska could be looking at some way above normal temperatures for this time of the year for a sustained pattern. Chances of rain, even money for us, usual summertime patterns. Worst down where the moisture is going to be more prevalent, down to our south. Least amount under that heat dome back across the Great Lakes. Less than average chance back this direction, so we fall right smack in the middle, and we're expected to be not kind of Goldilocks zone territory, not too dry and not too overrun with rainfall. So that is some good news, but we could definitely use a lot more to kind of tamp down that wildfire danger. So for right now, that's about the best that we can say. Here's what it looks like on the 7-day. Island Cove Marina and Resort, fairly quiet conditions here. And through tonight and into the next several days. Sunday starts National Lightning Safety Awareness Week. We do see the potential of more showers and thunderstorms off and on as we get into the area around Sunday, Monday, and into Tuesday. So that is something that we could be looking at again for some possible relief. But I think for right now, what we are going to see is the potential of showers and thunderstorms. The worst of the worst looks like it is going to be closer to around the middle to end point of next week, about the time that second storm system from the northwest decides to kind of saunter on through. But those, again, up until then, Sunday through about midweek, I would be expecting more potential of just isolated, haphazard, popcorn-type thunderstorms, and then more expected as we go toward the end of the week. Not great chances by any stretch of the imagination, and not cool at nighttime either. We see little, if anything, in the way of any temperatures, even into the 60s, and even here, we're looking at numbers in the high 70s. That's how far down we go at nighttime. We just go right back up from there into the course of the rest of the day. So hardly any relief at nighttime. Again, we might see temperatures reduce a little bit by the end of the week, but we're talking low 90s, and semantically, for the life of me, I just can't call the lower 90s cooler per se. So we're not going to see too much relief anytime soon at this point. It'd be nice, But again, I just don't see anything really coming our direction to help out. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. We have got a lot going on in the tropics. We'll give you that here. Let's give you an overview here real quick. This is what we're looking at for right now. Two systems, one sitting off the east coast of the United States, one over portions of the Bay of Campeche and over to around the Rio Grande. The chances of anything really developing here have increased quite a lot in the last 24 hours. Now for the Pacific, no activity going on. Good news there. This disturbance has done a good job of picking up. So in the last couple of hours, let me just run through this to make certain I'm correct on here. Okay, well, the one off the East Coast, that has now reduced to 40% for the short and the long-term forecast. The one down in the Bay of Campeche has dropped to 50% on the 2 to 7 day forecast, but that's still pretty high. So again, for both of these systems, 40, 50, 60%, somewhere in there, that is definitely something that needs to be watched. Now, what we're seeing at this time, and let me take the one down in the southern area for right now. This particular system, again, that's dropped to 50%. So as of right now, this system making its way, traveling almost exactly the same path as Alberto did, which what's left of it is way over here on the west side of Mexico going around the Baja area. But this making its way over very warm waters, it's a good possibility. It looks like we've got a pretty good bead of convection going on right to the west of the Yucatan Peninsula, right in there. We're seeing more of that moisture feed into that center. That maybe could be the B-name storm, but the chances as it keeps approaching the coastline diminish. As we go over the coastline, it diminishes. Until then, it is sitting in its power supply, that very warm ocean water, and that is where we could see some problems out there. The one off the East Coast, this one has wandered. Let me stop that and zoom in here real quick so we can get a better view of this. This, again, has been developing over the last couple of days. It's been, well, I should say it's been trying to develop, but as of right now, we do not see much of anything here that says it's going to be going anywhere anytime soon. The main thing is high pressure back to the north of this, pushing against it. You may have heard of wind shear before, winds at different levels moving at different speeds. For severe weather in the United States, that is what helps severe weather to develop in those differing wind speeds at different levels of the atmosphere, slower from one direction below, quicker above several thousand feet up, and that can really help to stir up storms. Wind shear in a tropical environment, unless the winds are lined up unidirectionally to help the storm move along and take advantage of that motion with the warm ocean water, wind shear in a tropical environment is a killer for those storms. It can shred them apart very easily. So right now, this system is having a lot of problems staying together. There's a fair amount of dry air around this, and outside of the Gulf Stream supplying warm, moist conditions on the underside of that storm, we don't see much of anything giving this a boost anytime soon. So that orange layer of where we're seeing the potential development, that's the expectation that it's going to stay right off the coastline, right about in here, and possibly hover here for about 24 to 36 hours. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but from southern South Carolina, coastal Georgia, and northeastern Florida, we could be looking at high surf. We could also be looking at winds and possibility of rain and thunderstorms. So anywhere south of Charleston, around Savannah, and back down to well north of Orlando, I would say that is where we're going to be seeing the worst of the worst conditions. Even some moisture wrapping around this and feeding storms down toward Gainesville and back to the area close and to around the coastline, Jacksonville, picking up more activity than anything else. So if you're traveling this direction, this could be a vacation ruiner at this point. The rest of the Gulf looks pretty quiet. After Alberto moved on, there's nothing going on here. But from that system down to the Bay of Campeche, we've got more clouds coming up this direction and could be some ocean swells not to mention the fact that there could be some riptides along the Gulf as that water gets pushed up and onto the shore. That water recedes very quickly, and those riptides can be killers if you try to swim against them. So learn about riptides before you head to the beach. Know how to respond. Learn not to panic when you get involved in something like that. Instead of trying to struggle against the riptide, swim parallel to the coast and gradually try to work your way back out of the rip that is heading out into the ocean. Fighting against those things, like I said, can be fatal, so try to make certain that you are staying aware of what is going on and to make certain that you are paying attention to what is happening. Talking a little bit more about climate, it today is, and if you're watching this on Saturday, was Climate Stripes Day. It is Show Your Stripes Day, talking about this graphic from Professor Ed Hawkins from the University of Reading in Britain, talking about a simple visualization representation of climate temperatures and what they have done over a period of time. I really should go in and get this changed at some point to where we see more information on this. This was the Chattanooga graphic from several years ago. Now, whether or not, I don't know if I can get that in there or not, but basically what this is all about is the idea that this is a system that enables people to take a look at what is going on visually when it comes to anything involving climate. The cooler, bluer temperatures back over toward the left-hand side of these pictures, and anything involving going through time on the x-axis, you can see going from, this is a global view of the climate stripes, all the temperatures of the Earth averaged off to take a look, and much cooler back into the late 19th century. Most of the 20th century mild but getting warmer, and then into the 21st century, a big uptick in the amount of heat in the global system. There we go. I was able to find that there. Apologies. Taking a look, my Chattanooga climate stripes, I put the last one in about 2022. This one includes much more information from 1879 when records were kept through last year, 2023. And again, some up and down temperatures up until the end of the 20th century and into the 21st century, where there's much more red than blue. That shows, again, a very strong uptick in the temperatures around this area. This is something you can take a look at if you'd like to see more. Climate Central is where I got this graphic from. More information about everything in general on the global side of things, which is where I got this graphic from, showyourstripes.info. If you'd like to take more of a look at what's going on at various cities around the United States or around the world, this is a great way to talk to people about climate change and why it is so important. We need to make certain that we are keeping track of what is going on with severe weather. Now, you've heard me talk about this for the last week and a half, 2 weeks, starting tomorrow, Saturday the 22nd, and into Sunday. It's a 24-hour event going through Sunday the 23rd in the afternoon. This is the day of days for amateur radio operators. It's called Field Day because operators make their way out into the field. They are in local parks, they are at law enforcement facilities, but not indoors. They are actually out in tents and in campers and in trailers and using public park shelters to operate from because they want to get as much experience in the field in case a disaster happens, and they have to be someplace where it's safer to operate from, which may not be in a house or a law enforcement facility. They may have to go somewhere else and use generators or solar power to keep themselves operating. But amateur radio can get to places when everything has been destroyed and help get information into and out of a particular location. So if you'd like to know more about what's going on with Field Day, this is the website. I'm going to take this graphic down for a second, and I'm going to put up this map that we constructed earlier this afternoon. What you're looking at is, again, a view of the News 12 viewing area, and I put on here exactly the information that you saw on the websites. These are the website addresses that we have of them and the sites that you can check out more information about where these groups will be operating. And in the News 12 viewing area, there are 7 groups that will be operating from northeast Alabama, northern Georgia, and back into southeastern Tennessee. That includes the Chattanooga Amateur Radio Club, W4AM, N4LT, these are the call signs out there. The Tennessee Valley DX or Distance Association, antennas that can reach halfway or all the way around the world, depending on what equipment you use. TVDXA.com. Chattanooga ARC, W4AM.net. The ones that I've been talking about a lot lately, they sent me the information ahead of schedule about their open house regarding amateur radio that'll be taking place before all the information and field day festivities begin at 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon Eastern Time. CARC for the Cleveland Amateur Radio Club, KA4J, into Ellijay around Georgia, Ellijay Amateur Radio Club, N4J at w4hhh.org on the website. Dalton Amateur Radio Club, I did not get their website address, W4DRC, but there will be, again, a Dalton Amateur Radio Club out and about there. Chickamauga, Georgia, Tri-State ARC.com, W4GTA, Tri-States Amateur Radio Club. And last but not least, the Jackson County Aries Amateur Radio Emergency Service, DeKalb ARC, will be located at Northeast Alabama Community College in Rainsville, Alabama, K4A. The call sign and the website jcar.us. Those are the 7 groups in the News 12 viewing area listed on the website. So if you're nearby one of these places, look up the information that I just showed you a second ago on the website from the American Radio Relay League, and you can find out much more about where and when they're going to be operating. Again, this is more than just a catchphrase. When all else fails, amateur radio works. If there's a big enough disaster, severe weather, earthquake, some sort of communications problems from the sun, God forbid another terrorist attack of some sort, as people have said before, I'll just pick up the phone and order food as usual. You may not be able to do that. You may not be able to contact your family for days or weeks because this system might be down and may not be back to work again for, again, a very long period of time. Amateur radio operators can send short health and emergency welfare messages into and out of a disaster area, so it is possible that they could help on that. The catchphrase, the slogan this year, be radioactive. It is a great hobby. I'm an amateur radio operator, got my license from the Delta Amateur Radio Club in Bartlett, Tennessee, February of 2000, and my one regret about getting my license was that I never got it sooner when I was a kid and could have enjoyed it more often. So that is something to really take a look at. If you'd like to know more, again, arrl.org/field-day, or just go to arrl.org. Tons of field day information to begin with. 24 hours starting at 2 o'clock Saturday. Lots of information. A lot of clubs would like to introduce you to the hobby of amateur radio. So stop by, be curious, ask questions, get more details as to what is going on, and a good opportunity, again, to learn more about a fantastic hobby if you'd like to stop by and be curious about that. Thanks very much, News 12 viewer Vicky Postel, for a gorgeous view of sunrise at Tybee Island in Georgia. That's our Langley Roofing weather window picture of the day. If you've got pictures to share, please send them in to us at pictures@wdef.com or drop them to our social media pages, or again, go to our website, wdef.com/photos. Would love to be able to see what you're seeing out there. It is going to be blisteringly hot for this time of the year out there. Temperatures in the mid-90s tomorrow. So on the golf course, definitely want to pack the sunblock and the extra ice water. A couple of quarts extra would not be such a bad idea. Likewise, if you're going fishing, boating, hiking, camping, anything like that, be prepared. Have enough water to keep on tap to make certain that you're able to replenish what your body sweats away. Those heat index numbers are going to be brutal. even though they're not going to be dangerous. If you're working or exercising for a long period of time, that is something that could sneak up on you. So please remember to take care of yourself on that, and just remember to let's be careful out there all the way on through as we go into the course of the next several days. Things are unfortunately not really going to be changing all that much. All right, our friendinroofing.com weather poll of the day, pretty simple one on this one. We've been talking a lot this week about heat and wildfires, and next week is Lightning Safety Awareness Week, again starting on Sunday. So we kind of combined the two topics to give us the question about heat lightning. Is it just lightning that is too far away to where you cannot hear the thunder? Lightning travels much faster than sound, so the light is able to be seen many, many, many miles away. It's even able to strike well away from the parent thunderstorm to about 20 to 30 miles. It's called a bolt from the blue. But all you're looking at, it's not heat. In a way it is. It is, but it's not. It heat-generated lightning, or you think it's just the heat of the day creating lightning. It's not as simple as that, but it is. It is the heat of the day creating the thunderstorms that are dropping the lightning that you can see but not hear. That is what heat lightning is. It's not just lightning created by heat. That is true, but it's not just the heat causing the lightning. It is the heat causing thunderstorms to build to create the lightning, but it's not just heat actually creating lightning. It's one of the biggest weather myths that we've ever had to bust out there. Anyway, 58% of you, including my co-anchors Andrew and Kay, said true. That is absolutely correct. We'll have a new poll going up at midnight, so you can vote on that, and the results will be coming up next Monday, all about lightning and National Lightning Safety Awareness Week. So again, stay tuned for more with News 12, and we'll keep you advised as to what we're going to be seeing there. But thanks to everybody who voted in our poll for today. Glad to have everybody on board with that one. All right, I think that should do it. No chat questions on either YouTube or Twitch. And looks like everything is pretty much all wrapped up at this point in time. We'll have, again, less in the way of any problems with thunderstorms until the end of the weekend. So I don't think there'll be a problem with outdoor activities until we get into the next week. Vacation Bible School, outdoor activities, fishing, hiking, golfing, stuff like that, with more chances, such as it is, of more outdoor activities being affected by lightning. I would be paying a very close attention to what may be happening there. So again, more details on the forecast. Our 7-day forecast, always available, if I can get right down there at the bottom of your screen, at wdef.com/weather. So stay up to date on the forecast. We've got radar on there that you can access. We've got all the graphics that will tell you more about what the forecast is going to be. So stay weather aware and keep it tuned to News 12 for more details through the weekend. Speaking of which, News 12 Todd Heislip, meteorologist, will be holding updates on the forecast Saturday and Sunday night at 11 o'clock, so tune in for an update there. And, of course, we'll have more on the forecast online at wdef.com/weather. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek. It is Friday night, the 21st, the first full day of summer for the year. Hope you've had a great week. I hope you have a great and safe weekend. Good luck and happy signal hunting to all the amateur radio operators this weekend for Field Day. Please stay safe this weekend with the heat and everything else you got going on. And I'll see you back here for more Weather Overtime coming up Monday evening. So stay tuned for more there. Check out more with News 12 on air and online. Stay safe, and we'll see you coming up on Monday.